Hey guys, so I wanted to do this recording on pulling a CMA and comps and how you do that. I know for a lot of our agents that have been doing this for a while, this may be very redundant and basic, but this is really geared towards the newer agents that we have coming on, and maybe you've pulled a couple CMAs, maybe you've pulled none. Then this is really geared towards you. Obviously this platform's going to change, so don't focus a whole lot on the actual platform itself. The main thing here is to understand how to make the adjustments when we get to that point. I'm going to go through and make a couple suggestions on that, and that will obviously be the same no matter what platform you're on. So start out here, we have a property that's actually a HUD property that we are listing right now. It is in Waterloo, and I picked this property because it's not your typical property. It's actually a modular. It's one of those, like, it's too wide. It's not a double wide trailer. It is a modular, but it's in rough shape. So there's some adjustments that need to be made for that. And as you're looking through the pictures here with me, you can see, and this is right here, this is the front porch in the top right corner. It's definitely rough. You see the bathroom right over here. Doesn't even have a toilet in it. So, and then the master bathroom, again, really rough. So certainly we're going to have to make some adjustments for all of this. So let's jump over here, and I already have the MLS pulled up and logged in. So you're just going to have to log into that. And once you log in, I'm going to show you what I pulled for the criteria here. First, let me backtrack here for 1 second. Jump onto Realist. This is really helpful. So you'll see I already have Realist pulled up over here. You'll also see that Realist, I actually have the property pulled up. And in order to pull the property, you're just going to come over here when Realist comes up, and you're just going to type in the address, hit enter, and that should give you the property or something close to it. You might have to drill down a little bit more specific and actually put in Waterloo. I just put in the street, the number in the street. So you have to play with it till you get the right one. And then you're just going to click on the property. You're going to just hit the view records. Now you're going to come over here, and this is going to give you a lot of really useful information, especially things like the size of the lot, the year it was built, the number of beds, the number of bathrooms, the building square footage. Now, if you're getting ready to do a listing, you're not going to have pictures of the property. You might not even have this picture here, but what you're really looking to do is get a range. You just need a range so that when you walk through the house, you're going to be able to say, okay, wow, okay, based on the three properties that I've comped here, you're more like the middle of this pack, because the top had granite counters and the bottom had really basic Formica counters, and the floors kind of nice in your house, and my comps were, on both ends of that. One was really nice, one wasn't very nice. So you're going to go to the house and you're going to see where it falls within your comps. If you are still, you're really not sure and you need to come back, just be honest with them. Say, look, this is the range that I pulled, but there's this, and this that are unexpected. I didn't see these. I don't have records of them. There's no way for me to know that. I want to be 100% sure that I'm giving you a proper range. I really avoid giving people an exact price, but I give them a range and then base a price in that range off of what they're trying to do. So if they're trying to sell like super fast, then you're going to want to go to the bottom of that range. If they want to sell, any time in the next year, then they're going to be at the top of the range. And so hopefully that makes sense. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. So back to the property here, you see the general information that we have pulled up. So we're going to jump back over to the MLS, and you're going to see here I've got 0 to 700 days. That is not ideal. Ideally, you're going to have from the past year, so you're going to have 365 days there. So 0 to 365 days. You'll see when we get to the map though why I did not do that. And actually we'll just do, and we'll see what that looks like. I also have on here bedrooms, 1 to 2 bedrooms, and be really, at least in this platform, be careful not to do that because that'll just give you 2 bathrooms. So give it a range, and that's going to help a lot. Square footage, I have 950 to 1300. You've got to be careful with square footage because at some point you're not even talking about the same market or group of buyers anymore. So for this house, we were going back over here, we have 1152 square feet. If I were to compare that to a 1700 square foot home and try to adjust that square footage price, I'm not even looking at the same buyer anymore, if that makes sense. The person that's buying a 1700 square foot home might have 3 kids, or they might be, they like to entertain or whatever. For whatever reason, they want a much larger home. This is a, maybe somebody looking to retire or a couple starting out. 1100 square feet is not a big house. They're so different that we can't just take the price per square foot, make an adjustment, and say we're good. They're different markets. So in light of that, you can play with this number a little bit, and we might have to here in this example. But I have 950 to 1300. Once you get under 1,000 square feet, I noticed that it really, again, you're jumping into a new market of buyers, a new pool of buyers, and 950 square feet is darn small. So I have 950 here to 1,300. So let's go to the map and see. The map's going to show us what results we have, and you can also see down here, this is the results or matches. So let's take a look at the map and see what we've got. All right, so we need obviously to zoom in. This is a handy tool. We have AV. Okay, so that can be a little bit fussy there. So we pull that up, and you'll see we've got our property right here. And like I said, it is listed. So you'll see 71 right Ave. Okay. So we're going to zoom out. Keep hitting the zoom out button here. And you'll see, and you really want to use the map function because this gives you the proximity of the property. Like this is the neighborhood for this property right here. Once you get over to this section, this is really not the same neighborhood as this neighborhood or this neighborhood. And you'll notice a lot of times, and not always, but a lot of times a major highway, especially like Route 20 right here that's cutting through it, is going to change the neighborhood from here to here or here to here. So anyway, so we're going to really try to get our comp out of this section here if possible. So zooming back in, we have one comp. And when we take a quick look at it, we'll notice that the lot size is certainly bigger. It's 4 times the size. That's fine. We can make an adjustment for that. Square footage is pretty good. 1,266. The year it was built, we're not talking about the same type of construction. If you noticed, ours was built as a much more modern, I think it was like 1970. I might be wrong. It might be early 1980s. But either way, we're a lot newer than this. But as you can see, we don't have a lot of options. So let's just take a quick look at this one. Obviously, much nicer, much cleaner. And it looks to me, you can see how nice and clean and finished it is. It looks to me like this is a flip. So everything's brand new in here. So that's going to be a big difference. And it's going to be really hard for us to make those adjustments for this. So let's go back to the map. No, we don't see anything there. Let's go back to our criteria. And we're going to make some adjustments here. We're going to go with an extra bedroom just because we can adjust for that if we need to. We're also going to add those days back in that I mentioned. So we have 700 days here. And let's keep the square footage the same. See what that gives us. All right, we have a little bit more here now. Let's check out this property. This is on Alicia. Okay, condition is much more in line with our property, but we're still looking at a colonial. It's two-story. It's not going to be the same. So if you really want to eliminate your 2 stories, you can actually come down here and choose the style. So we would be um, double wide, maybe modular, maybe ranch, definitely, and that will help us hone in on some properties here. So let's do 1,000 days back. That is way more than I ever like to do, but it's better to compare to something that sold 3 years ago than something that's not even kind of like what you have. And you'll see, again, we really just don't have much. So you can see why I kind of picked this property. This really hopefully is helping a little bit, give us an idea of what it's like to pull properties that that are tough to put comps on. So we're looking at this one right here. Okay, like this one, it's a ranch, much better condition. It's older though. You can see, like, look at these cabinets here. See, this is some older cabinetry here. Bathroom's obviously nicer than ours for our subject property. It's definitely older. I mean, it looks like grandparents might have lived there. Needs some updating. It's got nice blacktop driveway. Acreage is a little bit larger than ours. And you see a sale price of 60. When did this sell? This sold in 2017. It was only on the market for 82 days. So this property, although it's sold so much long, we're 2020 now. So we're talking, 3 years back almost. That is way long, but and it's a little bit further outside of our neighborhood than I'd like. But I can say, if we go back to the map here, knowing these areas here, these sections of Waterloo are actually fairly similar. You can even see the size of the lots on the map here. The lot sizes stay kind of the same, and that can help be an indicator of transitions between different neighborhoods where they get really tight right in here. This is a section I would not try to compare to our neighborhood. So we're going to go ahead and use this one. So let's click on it. Click that box right up there, and that allows us to pull it over to our CMA. Let's take a look at this one. I'm not liking how high the price is. It says to me that there must be a lot of upgrades in this house. It looks really nice and clean. Not super upgraded, but let's keep clicking through here. Not upgraded at all. Still very clean. All right, go through basement, semi-finished basement, somewhat. Let's see. A little bit larger square footage wise. Yeah, so let's go ahead and use this one too. I'm just trying to get a little bit of additional information here. So we're gonna click on that one, click on that one. So now we have our 3 properties. We've taken 2 that are slightly outside of our neighborhood that we wanted, and we also selected this one here, 43 North Seneca Street. And the only reason that I did take this one is it is within the neighborhood. Square footage is very similar. Beds are 2 beds, which tends to be like its own sort of niche market. It is a Cape Cod, which isn't ideal, but we're getting as close as we can. Again, this is a gray signs here. So let's take these 3 properties, and we're going to come down here to the CMA. Click on your CMA. And it's going to say, who do you want this to go to? I'm going to pick myself. We're going to hit pages up here. And it's going to ask you what pages you want. So I like to make sure we have a cover sheet in here. And it's best, honestly, do a trial run with this and click every single one of these so you know exactly what it is. I can't take this entire video to go through every single one of these pages. But if you like it and you think it would go well in your listing presentation and it makes sense to you, the flow of it, make sure to put it in your listing presentation if you think it will help. So I've got cover sheet in here. Cover sheet with a photo is always nice if you have it. We have it, so let's put it in there. Price adjustments and a summary list. We'll make sure to have that on there. Minimum and maximum, that's really going to be helpful because that gives you your first range, and then you'll have a smaller range within that once you see the house. Days on market chart, I find it to be helpful. And then CMA thumbnails and 36 photos. The 36 photos is really nice because that just gives you something to actually look at with the client once you've printed this off. Activity versus time. And I usually don't use any of these. Then you have your CMA map, which is really helpful because that's going to show them that some of these are out of their neighborhood, but you know why you went with them, because they're ranches. Couldn't find any ranches. We look back 1,000 days. Make sure to touch on those points with them. So then we're going to come up here to the subject property, and we're going to say enter the MLS because it is listed. Now this works too if the property was listed years and years and years and years ago, and you're going to find that MLS number by, if I could scroll without stopping here. Okay. Okay, here is the MLS number, the current MLS number, but remember there will be an MLS number even after it sells. This number will be in there. We're going to click on that. That'll open up a new window, and we can just highlight that, come back over, fill it in. Okay, there's our property. This is our subject property, and we've got the picture on the front. Great. This looks really good all the way through. Perfect. And this is our price per square foot. That is going to be helpful to compare to some of the other properties too. Okay, let's see our cover sheet. Looks good. We go to our comparables. We have our 3 comparables right here. Let's see the map. Here's our map right here. Here's our subject property. And here are the comps. Let's go to adjustments. And this is where it gets a little tricky, but we're gonna get there. So this is the most expensive property, second most, and our lowest property here. So we have a 3rd bedroom on this. These numbers up here are from our subject property. So this is what we're comparing against. So you can see these are both 2-bedroom, which is great. Obviously the closest thing to our subject property, it's exactly like our subject property. So, but we have 3 bedrooms on this one, so we need to make an adjustment. Now, a lot of times if you're going from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms, that's a pretty big jump. I would do from 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms minus 10,000. Now, what is that doing? That's taking this property and saying, hey, if this property did not have that 3rd bedroom, how much less would it be worth? And generally speaking, 10,000 would get you there. It's really important to remember though, when you get into higher price point properties, let's say you're comparing your subject property has 4 bedrooms and a comparable has 5. Most buyers, there are very, very few buyers that are going to pay a premium for a 5th bedroom. So this really only counts from 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 bedrooms. Beyond that, maybe you make an adjustment of $2,000, but it's really negligible at some point because would you pay extra money for a 10th bedroom? Probably not. In some places you might pay less. So keep that in mind. There are laws of diminishing returns that are in play here. So full baths, we're going to add in, because ours actually has a master bath. These ones are all one bath. So I'm going to add back in $5,000 on each one of these. Okay, and then we've got half baths. I'm going to take away $2,500 for the half bath. And then the square footage here. Okay, so to do square footage, we're going to actually have to figure out what the price per square foot is for this. Now we have the sold price here, so we put in 18, divide that by 1252. That equals $94. Okay, so keep $94 in your mind, and we're going to do 1252 minus our subject property. That's how many square feet we have difference times $94 per square foot. So we have to take off $9,400. We're going to do that for each one of these properties here. Okay, so you see that we have all of our adjustments made for the square footage. We did that again based on the square footage price there. I'm going to come to exterior features, nothing really to adjust there. This is definitely a spot that you want to consider. We saw that that one basement had a full basement. Ours doesn't even have a crawl space that you can access. You can't see it in the pictures, but there is literally not even an access door. There are just vents underneath. So if you needed to get down there to do any plumbing or any type of work, you're not going to get in there. For that reason, in my opinion, I will give a full basement. Now, this doesn't count patio cement, slabs are not. I'm not considering that the same sort of deal, because usually all of that plumbing is done pretty well and whatnot. But this being a modular that was done back in the 1970s, as a buyer, that's going to bother me. This one has a full basement. This one has a partial. This one has a crawl space. I'm doing a $10,000 reduction off of this one, and the partial here, I'm going to do a $5,000 and again a $5,000, because, well, when your pipes are freezing or something's wrong, it's really worth something to be able to get down there and see them. Again, does not count for your slab foundations. All right, exterior construction, dimensions, number of fireplaces total, number of garage spaces. We're going to make a quick adjustment for that. And for one, typically I'm going to do 2,500. For two, I'm going to do 5,000. Something worth mentioning here, you probably saw in the pictures there that the one garage was a little questionable. I'm just going to assume that it is a solid garage and it's decent, because it looked like it was standing upright and whatnot. My test as to whether a garage can still be counted as a garage and not a shed is, would I pull a $40,000 car into that garage and not worry about it overnight? If the question is no, then it's probably not functioning as a garage anymore, and it's just a place to store your lawnmower. And then in that case, it really doesn't get the adjustment that a garage is getting in this case. So we got seller concessions. These are the seller concessions are taken off, so we're going to take that exact amount off. We're doing this because that seller concession is not reflected in the sale price, so we're taking it out now. Roof types, year built, we're not going to make any adjustments for that. Now, one of the things that they changed is they don't have acreage in here anymore. I know there's a way to add it in as an additional feature on here, but if you'll remember, these two properties were quite a bit larger. We have 66 by 61 versus 85 by 125. 120 by, as you can see, these lots are all significantly larger. And when you're talking postage stamp, and I've been to this property a few times, there's about 5 feet in the backyard compared to these properties that actually have a backyard. You've got to adjust for that for sure. So I'm going to do a $5,000 reduction, or reduction here for this one. This one I'm going to do a $7,000 price reduction. Help if I put a negative on it. And these prices also are going to depend on how nice the property is. Like if you're talking about a $500,000 cul-de-sac or $1 million development, those lots alone are going to be worth $200,000 in some cases. So these adjustments are going to need to reflect that. So in this case, these are in line with what those lots would be worth. So moving right along here, we're going to go and hit View Details. And this shows us all of our adjustments right here. Okay. Then we're going to hit Finish because it looks good. And we're going to go View CMA. Okay, so there we have it. You see our subject property. You see the client's name. I've got my name in there. That should be the client's name again. Okay, here are our properties. We have our subject property and the comparables right here. These are all the adjustments that we made. Subject property again, and then the comparable property and the adjustments that we made. You see the comparable prices. This has the actual price that they sold for, and then the adjusted price that we have in there. So we have a low of 41,000 and a high of 80,000, and an average of 65. So come down here. It's just some additional statistical data on it. 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms. The average price per square feet. Number of days on market. This is going to be really helpful for the seller to kind of get an idea, expectation of what will happen with his listing. This is a page that I really, really like. This is the one that I was telling you about with the thumbnails and the 36 picture view. This is what will help give the client a lot of a much better understanding of what they're comparing their home to. So you can actually show them. You can see the kitchen, you can see the bathrooms, you can see how it really shows up next to theirs. And then you can say, well, see, Mr. Seller, this is the high end. You'd agree your house might not be quite in line with that, but that this might be close to what we're looking at in sales here, and that this house as well, that 103 Church Street is again probably a decent comparable as well. We go down here and we want to make sure we're pointing this out. There's a little bit of a difference in the neighborhoods here, but these are as close as we could get based on, and you can write some notes in here. The search criteria was 1,000 days back. We looked at ranches, we looked at double wides, we looked at modulars, and this is what we came up with, Mr. Seller. So that is the long and short of it. I wanted to just go back really quick and just reiterate one thing before we're done here. So your comparable price, once we've made our adjustments, this is the line that you're going to be thinking about when you're walking through the house. You have a low price of 41,000 and you have a high of 80. This high of 80 is basically saying that if your subject property was to this level on the same lot, then it would sell for $80,000. As you're going through 71 right, you would agree that this is not the condition of the property, and the condition is actually more in line with this property. So when you go and you're walking through the house and you're talking to the seller, you're going to be sitting there going, all right, so this is probably our high, and this is probably our low, and our average is probably going to be right in the middle. So we're going to probably be looking at a list price of 50, maybe 51, and hopeful sale price of 48, maybe 47. And that's how you're going to present that is here's the range within this range. This is the range that I would recommend, and that would say maybe 50,000 to 55,000 as a list price. So I hope that made sense. I hope that answered the majority of your questions. As you're going through this again, especially if you're new, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be trial and error, and you might have questions along the way with some of this. Um, Certainly email us any questions that you have. Try to be as specific as you can. Obviously, we can't run an entire CMA, but if you say, hey, this one has an asphalt roof that's 10 years old and this one has one that's brand new, is that something that I should adjust for? The answer is no, but give us a very specific question. It'll definitely help with the quality of the answer that we can give. So again, I hope this helps. And give me any suggestions that you have on it, things that weren't clear, and maybe I could add that into the video for everybody else as well. All right, thanks a lot.